Good evening. Welcome to the May meeting of the Rutherford County Public Safety Committee. And we'll begin with take a motion on the minutes from the last meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the minutes and I move for their approval.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, Mayor has a graduation this evening in which he's giving the, what's the word? The commencement address. That's right. And so he asked if we can move the fire rescue report up to the beginning because the city of Eagleville has something they would like to put in there. So if all of y'all want to come to the floor. Larry and
And we have
City Manager.
Mayor Travis Brown and City Manager Mr. Andrew Heller. They'll come on up here.
y'all come up also.
So I think where they're gonna land.
Wherever it's your work. I guess.
So you can maybe use as much of Larry's time you want, they can, and you won't have to go so long into his.
But why don't we go ahead and
Okay, I've already introduced you to Andrew and to Travis, and over the last several months, we've had some discussions, we would say, regarding some plans they have for improving and putting in place a new public safety building. Right now, most of you know, we have two of our trucks that were contributed to them a long, long time ago in their little building, somewhere right there in Eagleville, in their little, right behind their little town hall that they have, their city hall. In any event, over the years, I guess until recent years, that's been staffed by more or less volunteers over a period of time. Now they do have two full-time people there, and we're hoping that they're starting a trend, and that will even improve as time goes on. Two full-time day shift Monday through Friday. That's a big area out there. It's a long ways from our staff station, and they're providing us a good partnership to cover that unincorporated area, plus their city of Eagleville. So all of this is about what they're planning to do in the construction, hopefully, of a new building. And we're going to let Mr. Andrew Ellard sort of give you an overview of that, and then we might have a little bit of a response, and you guys just consider how you think we might continue this partnership to benefit all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you all for letting us speak. We'll try to keep it brief, and I've been advised that I have a tendency to make things go long, so I tried to keep this as brief as I could. As the mayor mentioned, we are obviously serve as District 45 fire protection for the county. Y'all just hand the stack over here if I can reserve one for the mayor here. First of all, I just wanted to kind of give you an idea on our current building, and I've got a picture of it in there on the second page. First and foremost, it was never built with the intention of serving as a fire hall. The space that's there is insufficient for trucks as large as this, with as much equipment as they handle, with emergency personnel needing to operate around those vehicles. Our building has no space for quarters for firefighters at this time. The fire department space essentially consists of, other than the bays here, one office for our fire chief, which I'd say really doubles also as storage, and one open area that functions for our full-time firefighters, kind of a day room, sort of another combo space with a lot of storage. But this building is also used by our police department for their offices. So there's certainly inadequate storage space for equipment. We don't have a lot of modern firefighting amenities in that building, such as cleaning facilities for gear. There's not even a washer dryer option in this building with the space we have. The building was built in the 1950s as a service station originally, and at some point or another it became City Hall. At some point it became City Hall plus fire plus police, and so I can't imagine them all being in this space, but the office space is less than 2,000 square feet by itself, and we have all those folks operating there. It definitely is not set up to have security features that would be expected of a police or fire station. And we just have a lot of storage needs, among other things. The next page is really, and I'm trying to summarize a very large project in a very small amount of space here, but our intention is to create a modern public safety facility, one that would house up to 6 Class A vehicles with 3 drive-through bays. Approximately 16,000 square feet, about 3 of that is set aside for the police department, and this is still kind of in a design phase at this point. Obviously, living quarters for the fire department, including locker spaces, day room, showers, the things that should be expected of a fire department facility. Also, we've incorporated training space, kind of a combo space there, training or community room, something that could be used by the firefighters, by other city staff, perhaps as a municipal court location, because the main hall there in City Hall is really, on some occasions, is not large enough for our municipal court at times. But it could also double as a community room for various community functions, and that's obviously not the primary purpose of that. And we've also spoken with our architect about trying to incorporate some elements that would make that room maybe a safe from tornado activity, that kind of thing, so that if residents of the area need to come in inclement weather, they have somewhere safe to hunker down. Centralized location, we are talking about a piece of property adjacent to the existing facility, which is right behind City Hall. As far as total project cost, and as you're all aware, I mean, public works projects aren't getting any cheaper. I think when we first started talking about this, even the costs seemed to escalate with the economy we're in, but we're estimating $2.5 million. We have spoken with some representatives of the USDA about their community facilities fund, which is also the same fund that we used as a loan and grant source for our sewer project. And they have indicated that yes, we would be eligible for that funding. Some of the steps we have taken to this point, the services that we've been, or the expenses we've incurred so far, the city is cash flowing. Some things like geotechnical engineering services on the land that we're looking at. We haven't just pointed at a piece of property and said, look, let's jump on that. We are doing our due diligence on that. We also had UT's Municipal Technical Advisory Service Specialist in Fire Service, Dennis Wolf, come take a look at the property, and as far as its location, we will not be able to get any more central to Eagleville or any more central to District 45 than this location. We also most recently acquired land to the rear, just behind the existing police and fire building, which will allow us to a little bit more flexibility in the site planning, so we're not too encumbered by our boundaries around us. And ultimately, as Mayor Burgess mentioned, what we're here to do tonight is requesting financial support from Rutherford County as a partner in this. And on the next page is sort of what we go into as, if anything, if nothing else, called a justification, I guess. I believe that Eagleville is very different in its fire service than the other cities here in Rutherford County, in that we do service not just the city of Eagleville, but also our fire district. And our geographic area in the city is only 2.1 square miles compared with 36 square miles in the county. And if you count the 5 miles radius around the station, that gets up to 78 square miles. Population as of 2017 estimates, according to the Chamber of Commerce, is right under 700, and the population of District 45 is actually, I believe, closer to 2,100 at this point. And comparison by calls really is even with that disparity between population. It's roughly 2/3 of the calls that are actually outside the city limits. And you can see there from 2014, 2015, 2016, the support in that. And so we have had some conversation back and forth with from the city to Mayor Burgess and Chief Farley, and how we could go forward with something like this, and hopeful partnership with the county, and realizing, of course, the sticker shock on a project like this is part of the reason we're here. We would like to ask for, and what we've discussed with the mayor, is potentially $500,000 over the course of a period of years to support this effort. I know it's a lot of information in a very short amount of time, but I could open up for
You
questions.
intend to borrow this money to start with?
Yes, sir.
So it would be entirely financed, and you're looking to us to assist financially in terms of paying this back?
The city is in a position we can pay either way. We will be able to pay the note whether or not we get assistance. We're not dependent on you for getting the loan or for making the payments. What we're trying to do is lessen the burden on the taxpayers inside the city limits of Eagleville, because of the very reason that we do serve such a large district down there, and most of our calls and most of our geographics outside of. So we're trying to ask for a little help from the county as well, because we do provide that service outside of our district as well. That's where we're kind of coming from that point. We've already qualified for the loan either way. We don't need the county's assistance to get the loan. We're not here to just get that loan qualified.
And we're certainly not asking that the county back or be a signatory to a loan or anything like that. I believe part of our conversation had to do with maybe financial flexibility, because obviously the cleanest, easiest thing to do would be to say if we were requesting an amount of money, that it would be up front so that we did not have to finance that. But it's my understanding that the funding sources that may be available from the county might make it more feasible over time.
Over a period.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, you plan on having the amount, enough days for 6 vehicles to expand the service over time and go to 24 hours at 7 days, I would assume. And you're going to keep up with the part in the county, so
Yes.
just like you are now. So see, that's something that we can look forward to.
This is a big project, but what we're looking for, our current fire station, is 40-something years old. We're trying to plan out what, nobody knows the future. We might have 1 million residents tomorrow, or we might grow slowly, but we're trying to, what is going to position us best for the next 40 years to be the best value for our dollars. So we're putting a lot of money up front in this project. It's going to be bigger than what we need right now in a lot of areas, but we're hoping that as things grow, we've got like 64 houses on the board in Eagle City limits, like right now. And so, it's the growth is coming to our part of the county. Everybody knows it. And so we're trying to get ahead of the curve in some ways. And if you've been down there, there's not just inside our city limits. Every single road going into town, there's somebody building on something there.
Commissioners, Eagleville, of course, is on the far side of my district. And when I often talk about Eagle, I always call that the diamond on the western horizon out there. But I look at that on the point, when you look at the fire protection from the county and you look at the police protection from the county, I have to use somewhat of a rural term when I explain that. The barn's a long way from the house out there. And without the support of the fire department from the Eagleville and the police department from Eagleville to help back us up in that area out there, we're limited in what we can do from getting there from the distance we're coming to. I'm 8 miles from Eagleville, but there's been many times that the Eagleville City Police have been to my house due to the fact that we were covered up as far as deputies coming to that area where I'm at. The Eagleville Fire Department has shown up out there in that area to different places when we were needing extra support and things of that type. So I guess there's a unique situation when you talk about the city of Eagleville compared to other cities. They are a rural metropolitan, I guess is what you're talking about in this situation right here. So they're in the process of facing expansion that we all face right now, but they're looking at it in a broad-minded situation where they're trying to do something to protect those citizens that are out there now. And they're trying to do it in a way that they can also work with Rutherford County too, and do it that way.
I have a question for Chief Farley. I'm looking at kind of where we can, we've got several times, we've discussed, like at Almaville, building a new fire station there. there's, what's on the drawing board there is like 700 or 800 houses, and in the very near foreseeable future, which is bigger than the city of Eagleville in terms of population. How, like with Barfield, do you have any idea of what the population is that that district serves?
No, just in Barfield, no, it's exploded since we built that station out there. I mean, there's been like probably probably 3,000 houses out just out Barfield Crescent. I mean, it's gone from farmland to several subdivisions out there.
And that's the way it's going in a lot of areas. And another place that I've talked about building a new fire station is the Rockvale area, because that particular area outside the incorporated city limits of Murfreesboro is also blowing up. And I'm just trying to get a perspective on bang for the buck, so to speak. And I think we do have to look. I have, in the short time that I worked for the county, I did run emergency traffic out to Eagleville on several occasions. It is a long way to Eagleville from College Street.
It's a long way from Barfield.
It is a long way from Barfield, and especially if you have school traffic. So, there are other things other than, the distance and the remoteness and everything, I think, other than just population that we're looking at. But I'm just trying to throw out some of these things if we had any idea of.
I think you can say that this county is growing everywhere. I mean,
Some more than others.
the cities are getting a lot of apartments in them, which are, which puts more of a burden on the schools, et cetera. But you can go out, you can go to the east side, and it's growing.
Yeah.
It's growing all over.
That's my whole point, is it's growing in lots of different locations.
Well, and one of the things they face is the same thing we face at Rockvale. The building is so small. As this new apparatus comes online, it's not going to fit in the station. It won't fit in Rockville now, and I don't see how they're getting what they got in there now. I mean, you can't really walk down the walls. So I mean, it's with growth, and we're having a lot of issues, and this new apparatus is bigger, broader, wider.
Yeah, I was at the Amville station too the other day, and that engine it takes up, it just barely gets in there.
Vern had to expand their one fire department when they bought a new engine out there, just because they're bigger now.
We had to rent a piece of equipment due to one being in service, and it really limits what you can even rent, because what's on the rental market for a temporary piece, we had one out for like 3 months, and there's trucks that are that small or unavailable. Everything is bigger, and we had trouble finding stuff that fit in our building.
And I would like to bring up, though, that there's precedent to doing something like this. I know at the library in Laverne, the county donated quite a bit of money to it, and what it was the city said, you help us up front, we won't ask for anything again, and they have it. We've also, some of the land down at where Laverne Middle and Laverne Lake are, that was stripped down there, we gave to Laverne to be able to finish the Eastern Year Shriven. And if I'm not mistaken, the depot area in Smyrna, that there was a strip over there that they wanted, that the county gave. We worked with Murfreesboro on different road systems. It probably couldn't have been done if we didn't work together on it. So it's something, to me, we can at least hear what the $500,000 over the years proposal is, and what those years are, and we can pass it so finance can at least look at it and tell us how it would be possible to do it and how it would hurt.
Has to say there.
I think we're flexible in that regard.
Well, I agree with all the things you pointed out here. He did mention this is going to have sleeping quarters in it. And we got to have that so we can get 24/7 coverage at some point. And I think that, and we may have to do it with some combination of full-time and volunteers at some point, but I think that's critical. And if Eagleville wasn't out there, we'd have to have a station out there somewhere. And the reason I came up with the 500,000 is that's about how much I'm pretty sure we'd have to spend. And that's about how much we spent maybe a little bit more, are in that neighborhood at the Midland Fosterville Station. That we own the property, but the volunteers are actually running that. And so that's been a real asset out there. So I told them I think if we did this over 5 years, it wouldn't be a real financial stress, and I think we could work with them in that respect. We would have to have some sort of interlocal quote agreement to sort of lay out some of the terms and conditions of what we're expecting. We're going to have some sort of perpetual right to use that building with them in some sort of partnership that we got on a piece of paper. And so I think if you really want to be serious about it, propose that we furnish our first $100,000 at least coincident, or not no later than whenever they get ready to close their first loan, we should put that money in, and every year thereafter put another $100,000 in for 4 years. That's my recommendation.
But they are not going to refund that money at all.
No, sir.
It's like a gift.
It gets more. It's our contribution to the partnership of them provide. Because if you'll think and you know about how much we're having to spend on full-time personnel, if they keep moving in that direction, that's going to be a tremendous asset and a very large cost. So they'll probably have to ease into that over some long period of time, but that will be a major step forward in really providing good fire coverage in that western county, which is, from my house, is about 15 miles out there to Eagle. I just went out there the other night to graduation, so it's a long ways and a lot of miles.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Wait a minute, I've got a question.
Okay.
You made the comment that you had 2 full-time paid personnel,
Yes, sir.
and how many personnel will it take to operate this building?
But we have 2 full-time paid firefighters. We also have our chief, who's part-time technically, although I have to run him off to keep him from looking full-time sometimes. To operate the building, chief, I'm not sure how to exactly answer that.
We're looking long-term to go ahead and have 2 people on the engine, 2 people on the rescue is long-term, 24 hours a day. And of course, that will be down the road a little ways, but right now, we're trying to project, trying to get 24-hour coverage so that we'll keep 2 people that can go ahead and run the rescue truck or the engine, either one right now. So that's kind of our immediate looking at our first part we want to do. We're covering the day shift when all our volunteers at work, but we're going to have to move on into the periods of time when we're waiting for them to come back from their workplace, which is many miles away a lot of times, and we don't have volunteer coverage during their transit time. So those are the first areas we're going to start looking at. Once again, Chief Farley and I have talked about how it's important to have 2 personnel on the rescue truck and on an engine, both from a safety standpoint. So that's our plan right now.
Will you have money available to staff it and the apparatus and all that's going to take to operate?
Well, it depends. I mean, obviously, we would not hire more people if we didn't have the funding in place to hire them. So, I mean, I guess the answer is yes. I mean, we'd have to have the funding in place before we committed to hiring anyone.
You really need to have it in place before you build this building, would you not?
Well, no, we need the space, I mean, as we are now. I mean, just operating with the vehicles we've got vehicles that are housed outside the building, or even we've rented a garage across the street to house one of the buildings that we don't have room for in our existing building. So we have need now. And so there are functions of this building that might, and we've had this conversation with the architect already, is if there are elements of the building that we can phase into, in other words, build the shell for now and finish them out as we have, the need, whether that's, maybe hiring more people where we'd only finish out half the living quarters at one time and the rest later or something like that. We'd have that flexibility. But as far as operations of the building, I mean, we could move into a new building.
This building will also be providing housing for the police department as well.
Their offices, yes, sir.
And training.
Yes.
That's one thing I guess kind of touched on. I think the mayor touched on, he touched on it. Our officers are dual sworn, so they're also under the Rutherford County auspices, and so they do help out with a lot of calls outside of our city limits to help out the workload when they're on duty too. So it's, we're very much a partner with all the emergency services in Rutherford County. Everybody kind of helps each other out if we've got, we're going to be able to help, we're going to back them up, and vice versa. So it's very much a partnership in a lot of areas.
Make your motion, I'm done.
I will make the motion.
Pass it budget.
Pass it on the budget.
Have a motion.
Second.
Second. And this, let's see, this building is going to last well longer than quite a few of us' lifetime here, right?
What was your motion? I mean, you said you make a motion, but
Probably the 500,000.
and over
Over
5
5
years.
years when the notice due, 100,000.
Yeah.
And develop an interlocal agreement that outlines some of these details that we
Yes.
don't yet know precisely what they should say. But our first 100 wouldn't be due until such time as they've actually secured the loan and are ready to close on that.
Any further questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper,
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
Mayor, could I ask you a question, though? You and Mr. Bartlett, y'all can make this. This is local.
That'll be a budget, right?
I don't want to
I
hold
like
you
your
long.
shirt, my drawing, they're built.
But out at Last Cast and Source, I've talked to you before, we've got the issue with the entrance and the pond, and we've got nearly a new fire engine jumping in and out of this pond every time it goes in and out to the building. How do I need to go about seeing if we can fix that?
How many dollars do you think it's going to take to
Mr.
fix?
Brooks is looking at that for me now.
I think we just need to tell this group here what we need and tell them it's how many dollars it is and see if they won't appropriate the money.
I'll work with it.
I think it's going to take at least 50,000 or more, but I think, yeah, I have to navigate those potholes just to go to the fish fry.
Well, we've got a $450,000, $500,000 fire engine jumping through it. Sooner or later, it's going to tear it up.
That's what the pond is.
Yeah.
It's a big crater in the driveway.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we could get a reasonable estimate, let's just bring it and put it on the table.
Okay.
See what they say. Okay?
The Sand Hill Convenience Center, when it needs something, they just bring gravel up.
Gravel won't fix it. That's been
I
tried.
was
It doesn't fix that one either, 'cause it comes
chief out there, and we put gravel and concrete and everything else in it, so.
Okay. Yeah, it needs heavy-duty concrete. All right, we'll do that. All right, that's all that.
Harley, your time's almost up.
Okay. Yeah, everybody's staring holes to me. Just real quick, year-to-date, structure fires, there are 67 structure fires this year, 36 vehicle fires, and 73 wildland fires or brush fires. EMS calls are up considerably. We have 1,056 EMS calls. NVA without injuries is excuse me, that's a typo. NVA with injuries is 322, is 166 motor vehicle accidents, 106 without injuries, and we've had 26 extrications year to date for my department. We have a total call volume this year at 2563, which the whole county wide last year was like 37. So it's the monthly report. 10 structure fires, 10 vehicle fires, 232 medical calls this month. MVAs with injuries, 59. Without injuries at 25, and 5 extrications. Of course, I want you to understand that these MVA numbers also include SORT running that district in the south towards Smyrna, helping out with the overall rescue plan. The next page is the overall numbers for the entire county. Volunteers included, 75 structure fires, 33 brush fires, 48 vehicle fires. We've had 7 swiftwater rescues, and I'm proud to say that 30 people on our department now is trained in swiftwater rescue operations. We just got 8 back this weekend, and so we've had 7. We had 3 college ladies decided they wanted to float the river the other night and went to Walmart and bought floats. They couldn't swim, the folks went down, and so they ended up on the side of the bank, and we had to go get them. So there's been quite a few of that going on here. 355 MVAs so far, 30 extrications, with a total call volume of 2,976 calls to date. The next one is the structure fires that have damaged that we've turned into the codes department. And the last sheet is the fire investigations and the status of those incidents. And that's my report, and then I have a budget amendment.
Any questions on the report? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, we've sold some vehicles that we're trying to get the money transferred this fiscal year. We've sold 4 pieces of apparatus for a total of $42,750. I want to move that into my 790 equipment line item. And this money is being used as we buy new engines to try to replace some of the worn out and obsolete equipment on these vehicles.
You heard the request?
I'll make a motion to approve this budget amendment request.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah,
All right. First page everybody's used to. 2,900 calls for the month. You see they keep going up every year. Response time 7.9, and we had 38 DOAs and 16 went for autopsy.
What's some of the decisions that the police make on going up, that they want an autopsy on? Is it?
Unexplained deaths. I mean, it really is that simple. It's unexplained. Unexplainable. Total bill, 1.6 million. Total collection, 624,000. Year to date, 6.3 million. Projected is at 7.5. And the lower area has to do with the vehicle maintenance. I think we only have, I think Mike wanted me to point out, we've got like 8 trucks that are under 100,000 miles. Next page is all any questions over there. Next page, just a list of some in-services and some events and some sort operation down at the bottom. Next page is a page that we've included. I don't know if it was included last month or not. Mike wanted to show you some of the challenges we've had as far as lead time. If you look at it's broken down into 24-hour trucks and 24-hour administration, 8-hour administration, dispatch, and office. The 24 hours, the down column are hours for totals, and then so you see 1,989 total hours for April. 264 in the administration, 24 hours. That translates into 82 days. Those are 24-hour days, 82. That's the same, that's just 82 people missing over the month and 11 days for the 24 hours. And then, of course, the 8 hours is 6 days and 11.6 for the dispatch. So the significance of that is on the 24 hours, administration 24-hour trucks and dispatch, we have to pay someone to take their place. It's, you know, in an office, if someone doesn't come in, their work's waiting on them when they come back the next day, or someone else carries the load that's already there. With those 24-hour trucks and 24-hour administration, we actually have to pay someone to be there. So we have to get an overtime or a overtime for a full-time person or a PRN person to come in and cover those slots. And so that's why we have been spending a lot of our part-time budget and our overtime budget, or just our pay budget, because we, just from these unplanned absences. That doesn't count vacation and things like that. And then the next few pages are some issues to do with sort. This report, I'm not real sure of this report. It's our CAD system spits out certain information with certain criteria. I'll be honest with you, I'm not too familiar with this page. I think it's one of the first times we printed it. But it breaks down the different responses, and I'm not sure if Larry was here, I could ask him. Some of this may include some of the fire department personnel responded to.
There's a question back on the sick hours.
All right.
These are, he says FMLA, sick, medical leave, and so on. How many people total in this 24-hour trucks? Do you have any idea?
Well, it varies. I can't tell you exactly how many there are. The OJI is probably one person. Well, actually, I think it was two this month. The medical leave is usually because they've exhausted their FMLA designation. It's still sick time. All that comes out of sick time, but it's just they've exhausted their FMLA 12 weeks and they're still out, so they're now on medical leave status. So you can almost combine medical leave with FMLA. It's pretty much the same.
I'm just trying to get at it. Is this chronic illness or something, another, or is this something we need to look at a better wellness program for personnel?
A lot of it comes from having babies.
So a lot of this is maternity leave.
Paternity leave.
Right.
Things like that. Some of it's sickness, but some of it's surgery, and but a lot of times it's people taking off because of newborns and things like that. And it adds up quickly.
Yeah, it does.
One person is 240 hours for the month.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? The next few pages are just thank yous. I think Vanderbilt, there's a few letters in here from Vanderbilt Life Flight. We've had several flights. And I think Mike kind of wanted to point out to you guys that, it's some of these patients wouldn't have survived just a few years back, and it's not just Life Flight, it's just the interaction with the system that we were able to get them in there to the scene and get them to the appropriate facility quickly. And some of these patients were pretty serious and they survived, or some of them, I assume all of them survived. And he just wanted to kind of point that out, that some advances in that type of interaction is really helpful. Next are some letters, or some people were given some Demas gift cards. They do this public servant recognition, and several of our people were the benefactor of that. And that's it for the report. And we have an amendment.
I move we approve the report.
Second. Got a motion, a second. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Right on the
Budget amendment.
There's several moves. One is the 7,000 move is actually due to collections. We collect more, we pay a little bit more, so that's a good thing. And it's just moving money around. In the office supplies, we just are increasing office supplies by 3,000 and moving it out of communications. The patient charges and refunds has to do with there's been more overpayments, so it has to be refunded to the either insurance companies or the patients. And then the last one is the paraprofessional payroll decrease there, and money moved into the part-time, and it has to do a lot with the people being out. We're not paying them out of the paraprofessional line item, we're paying them more part-timers to work, so we just need to be ready for that.
Make a motion to approve the budget amendment as requested.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Thank you much.
Oh, by the way, isn't it EMS appreciation
Oh, it
week?
is, it's EMS week. I
EMS week.
should have mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Correctional Work Center.
Evening. 2 hours, 2 days.
First up is our Correctional Work Center board meetings. Should have copies of that. And then our work release report, no big significant changes in that since last month. We are up to about 20 employees working, and we just interviewed, I think, 6 today, 6 more. And the next is our yearly activity report. No significant changes there. And our monthly worker report, which we had no significant changes in either. And our state litter pickup for April of 2017. And that's our report for the month. And I do have a budget amendment request too.
A lot of
20
workers.
20 is a lot. I mean, there was a time several years ago that Davidson County had about 20 or 30 at their maximum for work release. So, with a facility our size, that's tremendous to have 20 people working in the community.
Any questions for Superintendent Coe? If not, we'll entertain a motion on the report.
Motion to approve the report is presented.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Budget amendment.
Now, the budget amendment is to correct payroll line items. We had a lieutenant or a sergeant who was promoted to lieutenant who had about 19 years of service with the county. So he's made a little bit more than what the previous lieutenant made. So we're going to take $2,500 from that sergeant line and move it to lieutenant. That part-time, 169, we'd like to move $1,000 from that sergeant line also. That'll be left over to that part-time line because our part-time employee used some extra training this year through Tennessee Corrections Institute, and usually it's 16 hours a week, and that was a 40-hour class.
You heard the request. It's all within his budget.
Make a motion to approve the budget amendment request as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes. Thank you much.
Thanks, sir.
Have a good evening.
Superintendent?
Thank you.
I'm good, TK. Where do we start? The report?
Yes, sir. I got a report today. I also have a budget amendment, like most people do this time of year. Also, a site lease agreement I'd like for y'all to accept, and also a grant that I'd like for y'all to accept. You have my report in front of you. Some of the highlights for this is sent one of my staff out to New Mexico for training on instant response to terrorist bombing. Of course, in New Mexico, no, you didn't pay a dime for that. I looked for free training.
Did he make it back?
Yes, she did. But they have some good courses out there.
White Sands?
No, this is at New Mexico Tech in Socorro. Their expertise is mining, but they also have what's called the energetic materials and bomb technical part of the government there. Is it government contracts, so they go out there. There's also other training we do where we try to find out they're done either through grants or FEMA pays all of it, and that's the type of training I try to focus on. Not just for my department, but for other public safety agencies that have a need. We taught a hazmat awareness class at the Sheriff's Office in service on the 2nd. Something else to do. We also they don't call them an audit, but we did get a visit from the state grant program monitor regarding the 2015 Homeland Security grant money that we received. And of course, as always, no problem. Okay? But they don't call them an audit. I guess they're kinder and gentler now. We also participated in a Smyrna Airport exercise that was held on the 19th. It was a tabletop exercise to go over they've got a new fire chief out there, and he wanted to do something to get familiar with some people and the procedures and such as that, and it went very well. This past Saturday, we also participated with Smyrna at the Kids Safety Day at the event center. Real good event. Matter of fact, I think they probably had more people at that than they did the Prepare-a-thon a couple months ago. That's kind of the highlights. Upcoming events for us is, as you see right there, meeting with the Higher Education Committee for Emergency Management Association of Tennessee. I'll be attending. We also, it's time to start talking about Zika, so one of my staff is going to the Zika training at the state on the 25th. Team Middle Region meeting. We're also teaching another hazmat awareness to the Sheriff's Office for in-service purposes. And a PIO group meeting coming up. We, knock on wood, it's been a kind of a light month as far as responses for us. You see the 3 right there. Subject to your questions, that concludes my report.
Any questions for Mr. Cass? Not going to entertain a motion on the report.
Y'all didn't receive any calls for help in Sumner County?
No, we were tracking that, and I was trying to keep the fire chiefs in the county apprised about what was going on, because that was a surprise. I haven't spoke to National Weather Service or anyone else, but that much rain that fast, of course, no one's areas can absorb that, and it came at the worst possible time when they're trying to get kids to school. So that was just one of them that I'm not sure they could have done a whole lot, but I was staying in communication with all of our resources to let them know but we never received anything. So.
People paid attention to that up there. You can see how fast water can come up on roads and take it away from you. Yes, sir. What the EMS was saying about our tubers out there. And what you had.
Yeah, we got a little bit more rain, so creeks are up, so some of that type of thing is going to happen even more often this summer.
Okay. Still waiting for a motion.
Approve the report.
Second. Motion is second. Questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We'll do the budget amendment next?
Yes, sir. Like most, we start looking at what we have spent in all our various areas, and I also maintain a list at my department of unfunded requests. There is a piece of equipment, a system analyzer, that we'd like to purchase, and it runs about $25,000. We might be able to get a little bit less, but we're buying it off state contracts, so there's need to go bid. But excuse me, government contracts, not state one. But the mayor's already approved this, and what I'm doing is trying to pull money from other line items for this. This is a communications test equipment, so we can put radios on it and test to see and make sure they're tuned properly. Radios, just like any other piece of equipment, over time gets off. Newer models of Motorola equipment, we will be able to auto-tune with this equipment. Older models will still have to do it manually. Mr. Gurley probably knows more about this than what I'm saying. but it's a $25,000 piece of equipment that will help us get the most out of our radios, not just at the towers, but in the vehicles and the handhelds. And it'll help us in the long run get rid of some problems for the safety, public safety agencies within the county, not just county, but the cities as well, if they'd like to utilize it. With our with our Overwatch, that is. So what I've done is I've asked to pull some of the monies that we had left over and some of these others. The biggest chunk of money is in rentals. And the reason why we have so much money left over in rentals is one of the things is we thought the tower lease for the, what we call the Kirkland site, which covers Eagleville, would have been done by now, but it's gone back and forth, and we just now got it ready. So the money that we would have spent to lease that thing over the past few months, we didn't have to pay because, of course, we don't have a lease in place. We will after this one. But that's why you see such a large chunk going toward this cause, the $19,000.
I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Can you look at the gasoline item on there? You say actual usage today is basically 4,600, right? And you're wanting to decrease from 1,400, so that would put from the 6,000 that's been amended today, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what are you going to use to put in your tanks the rest of the?
We still have monies left over. I don't know if that was correct. We're originally 6,000. We want to reduce by 4,500. And also you got to remember that that actual today also includes monies that have not been, they've been committed but not spent. Yes, sir. We're okay. Also, my gasoline situation gets better every time we get a new vehicle, which y'all have appropriated for next year as well. Because the older vehicles, of course, get worse gas mileage, and it's actually like the Explorers get a lot better gas mileage. They don't hold as much, but they get better gas mileage.
So basically, the $6,000 is leftover money.
Not 6,000 total, no, sir. There'll be the amended appropriation will be 40. Will be.
It doesn't add up.
Yes.
It doesn't add up. That sounds sorry. Okay. Never mind.
I'm sorry, we pulled this out today, and there might be a small issue here.
I'm just wanting you to take a look at it, so if
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah, we don't want one of your guys to be staring at it out on Gucci.
We're not going to do that. No,
somewhere.
sir. No, sir, we're not going to do that.
Okay. Well, you heard the request. It's all in his budget.
I make a motion to accept this and pass it on to budget.
We will review that before we pass it on.
We got a motion?
Second.
We have a second. Any further questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes. We want to take the grant next? Oh, the tower lease.
The tower lease, this has gone back and forth, like I said, it was, with the budget amendment, trying to get this down. Some of the language that the people that were going to lease the site from didn't understand that there's certain things that governments can't do as far as indemnifying them against loss. So we had to go back and forth on that and pretty much show them what we've done in other contracts. Well, and even that, I just ran it through Josh McCreary one more time, and there's actually two small grammatical errors in here that we just got today, which is one is in paragraph 6, I believe, there's a semicolon that doesn't have a purpose. And in 3.3, the word lesser is spelled lessor.
I have a question.
Sure, sir.
So we're going to pay $2,000 a month?
Until we can, so we can have
Are we
coverage.
actively pursuing
Yes,
a permanent site?
yes. We're talking to, matter of fact, not sure how much should say
You
in
don't
this
have
form.
to-
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 very good options, but they're not going to be ready within the next couple of months. And what I want to do is have this. Although this is a 5-year lease, we have there's a clause in it that's in paragraph 4.3, which is termination. Either party may terminate the agreement with or without cause upon 90-day written notice. So we can
This
get out.
is commercial level payment. I think
Yes.
The largest lease that I executed
Yes.
was $3,400 a year,
Yeah.
and this is $24,000 a year.
And what we're trying to do is get something in place quickly so we can give them the additional coverage out there that they need and have needed. Because we don't see this as being a permanent solution by any stretch of the imagination.
I just want to make sure.
Oh, it's not.
This is not
No.
considered a permanent solution because
Yeah.
I think we should not be spending that type of money on a long-term basis.
And when did you say your solution's supposed to be ready?
Well,
Hopefully.
the problem, hopefully within a 2-year period.
There's no other options. That's $48,000.
Even
in
if
2
we
years.
started now trying to buy land and build our own, it's going to take us a while. There are other entities who have interest out there who are utilities, who are close to putting something out there. They have every intention, and we want to go in with them. As a matter of fact, there's actually 2 utilities just looking at that area. And this was something, like I said, it was already in the budget for this past year that we discussed at budget last year. But the downside is the contract didn't get done in the fashion that I wanted to get earlier. But there's a silver lining. We didn't spend all that money on them. But we're down to this point.
So they didn't need it for 10 months.
Well, we want to get that coverage out there as quickly as possible.
You heard the request.
Make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Further questions? I guess with the money, we're going to call a roll.
It's a lease agreement, you don't have to, but I'll be glad to.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Gorley will charge you to remember this. Okay.
No, and Mr. Gurley and I agree on that. This can't be a permanent solution. It just can't. What I have for you is what's called the HMEP grant, the Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant. What I requested this year was to purchase some laptops for the EOC as well as a charging cart for it. This is a grant that's meant to help improve counties' capabilities as far as preparing for and training for hazardous materials accidents and such as that. Our EOC, as being in direct support of any event that would happen, fulfills that. And also these laptops are always used for training, tabletops and others for this type of thing. We're going to purchase 15 of them. It's a 75-25 match. The total amount for them is $14,000. Our part of it is $3,500. And sorry to bring this out so late, but it seems like these type of federal grants that go through the state, I end up getting them in my hands later every year.
So are you coming back with a budget amendment for that 3,500? Or will that
That's
be
already-
included in next year?
Yes, sir. It'll be in my next year's budget. Because this is not going to get spent before the end of this month, not even close.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
all. Thank you. Okay. Juvenile detention, Ms. Duke.
Good evening. Great. Okay, before you have our usual reports. It's going to be for the month of April. I've got our activity report, our STD report, and our programming information, as well as our rap sheet. And I have several items after that. There's nothing really that stands out in any of these reports, but I'll happily answer any questions that you may have.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Who sets the intake policy?
Could you be more specific?
I'm referencing a media article that was published regarding, and I don't want to get into any kind of legal thing.
Right, that's why I wanted to...
I'm not asking you to comment on that. I'm just asking a direct question. Who sets the intake policy?
I'm the director of the facility, so all those policies run through me.
Okay, is that, second question, follow up to that, is that reviewed by legal?
Trying to.
If you prefer not to answer,
Well,
just say
I'm trying to
so.
forward think this question. It has not always been.
Thank you.
Probably, that helps. I was getting very uncomfortable there for a second. So protect your, sometimes it's best left unsaid, I think.
I'd love to be able to tell you
No, that's-
everything I know, but I don't
that's
think it's wise
quite all
at this
right.
point.
Yeah, I'm not asking.
I don't either. Make a motion to approve her report as presented.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. Further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Hardin County?
Okay, I have a contract, and it is the same that you have seen in the past. This contract is for detention services for Hardin County. And it's the standard rate of $175 a day if they detain a child with us.
Heard your request.
Motion to approve the budget request as presented.
Second.
You're meaning the contract?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Not to request the contract, I'm sorry.
Does every county pay the same amount?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor of the request signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, we got the budget, don't we?
Okay, yes, I have a budget amendment. This money is from within our current year budget, so this is no new money, and it is to pay down some comp time that we have, and to, a new employee is getting a little more credit than the prior person in that position, so we are moving money to be able to fund that.
And the other, the compensation is for leave, for vacation.
I believe that we've had several people that have transferred to different departments, and this is to pay them down their comp.
Okay. You heard the request, it's all within our budget.
Make a motion to approve her budget request amendment.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
I don't know if it got to the iPads in time, but do you have anything on there for a contract for supplemental educational services?
No.
No, it's
Okay.
just the,
It's just those two items.
Okay.
Budget.
I've sent it along.
Yeah, it's behind
Is
the
it?
budget deal.
Fabulous.
Look,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
no problem.
Okay.
Okay, so.
You made no mistake. You should have been quiet.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
What you have in front of you is a contract for supplemental educational services. This is currently being reviewed by the county attorney. He has not yet gotten back with me, but I wanted to go ahead and start this here in public safety so we could get it in front of budget. The short version is that our Title I grant monies used to funnel through a third party. Changes have now stopped using that third party, and the federal government wants these Title I monies to fund through the Board of Education. And so this is a contract that itemizes all of the important things regarding that grant money. And if approved by the county attorney, then we will move this through budget and then ask that it be allowed to be signed off on by the mayor.
And it's all ready for next year. It's set up, isn't it? Basically providing
It would
already.
give us the go to start using that grant money as soon as it becomes available. And our programming that grant money funds is not changing. It's just how it funnels through to us.
Individual request, in other words, what you're saying is just money, pass-through money to wind up with you.
Yes,
And it
sir.
was passed from somewhere else in the present. We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the contract as presented with the appropriate confirmation from our legal department.
Okay. And the legal department, you said there at the end, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
Should be me.
Thank you, thank you.
No,
Yeah, that was
maybe
in a
some
weird spot.
maybe some cartoons.
Okay, Mr. Good.
Good evening.
Evening.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to report in the month of April that we had a total of 23 injuries that were work-related requiring medical attention. That brings the total for the year-to-date to 73. Of that 73 at this time, 44 are OSHA recordable, 23 had restricted days, 9 lost time days, and 12 others. Next page report, you'll see where we compare this year to the 2 previous years, and we're slightly up a little bit over last year at this time. Third page report, though, you'll notice that the incurred dollars are a little bit lower at this time. We're at $161,000 for this year compared to last year's $215,000. Of course, I always remind you the incurred dollars are one of the things that as the claim matures, it can go up and or down. The 23 claims for the month has a total incurred dollars of $29,700. Board of Education had a total of 17 claims, and the incurred dollars there are $16,900. The county general had the other 6, and that the incurred dollars were $12,800 there. And the last page of your report will break down the county general between the divisions or departments that had those 6 that you'll see there.
What's a miscellaneous cost? Just give me an example.
It doesn't fit into the struct. It could be an inhalation where somebody inhales something, or it could be something that just doesn't fit into the other categories.
Any questions for Mr. Good? If not, we'll entertain a motion on the report.
Move we approve the report.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all very much. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Gregory. Good evening. You look well rested for having all those little kids.
No, I'm not well rested. All I can do to keep my eyes open back there. Going on 13 hours a day, so get home and get into bed. Nothing major on my report. I want to point out something that kind of give you an update versus reading through all the numbers. On the very bottom of the first page, you'll see live release rate. We've broken that down by dogs, cats, and overall. We had 90.3% of our cats go out the door alive last month. That has never happened since I've been there, and probably has never happened, period. You can see up above, we had 16 cats for the month of April that were euthanized, and none of those were for space. They were all for medical or severe behavior reasons. So I'm proud of that. 27 of those cats were released to the TNR program that we just started back in at the middle of March. So those are 27 animals that got to go out the door versus being euthanized in the bag. So I'm very proud of that. The only other thing on our report is on the last page on the bite report. We did have one animal that was unsatisfactory for the month. It was sent off for testing. It had been outside and had been ran over by a car several times, so they weren't able to test that. But it did have contact with a human that did go ahead and start the post-exposure vaccines. A couple of other things we've got going. Still doing several transports every month as far as cats and dogs, and we still have our vet position posted, trying to get somebody that will bite at that, but we've not yet. And just as a side note, we'll be going back to purchasing on Wednesday. On our lobby renovation, we've worked with a contractor and architect to get those costs down some. We'll take that back to purchasing to see if they'll approve that. If they do, I'm asking for your permission to go straight to budget with a budget amendment to get that taken care of. And that would be money that comes out of Paul's donation line, so it's not county general money. And that's my report.
And the last, does anyone have a problem with that one going straight to budget?
What's the estimated?
We're looking in the $82,000 range now. And we're not going to get it much cheaper than that. We've really worked to try to bring that down, utilizing maintenance and solid waste to assist us on some areas, so we could save several $1,000s there as well. It's one of those things the mayor and I discussed, though, if we don't go ahead forward now, the price is just going to increase. So it's better to go ahead and bite the bullet and do it, even though it's tough to swallow that amount.
That's why I was asking. That's a big number. I didn't know what the urgency was to get it to budget before coming back through us. Was it a cost?
Just to go ahead and be able to get the project started. We've been talking about this project for several years, and then the money was included, in this year's budget. And it's just kind of limped along. And then also, once it's approved by purchasing, I think it states that it's good for 30 days with the contractor.
This is the renovation, much needed renovation of the lobby.
The lobby, yes. We've already purchased the cat cages. They're on order because that was the biggest need, but this goes in and renovates that completely and gets us back to where we need to be.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll take a motion on the report.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion, second. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Still, that's quite a difference in what?
It was originally 103 something.
Yeah.
So we got it down, what?
10%.
No, more than that, actually. Around 20%. And we tried every way in the world to make it happen. There were a few things we just didn't want to give up.
Sure. Well, you can't. If you're going to do it, keep what you need.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mr. King.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Sheldon.
Does your motion include approving him going on the budget?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello.
Small report. First part of the report is our statistics for all of our 4 programs, the drug court, DUI, veterans, and mental health. Most important notables, we have about 115 total in all programs. That number keeps increasing every month. Still the biggest things that we're dealing with are opiates, alcohol, marijuana, and heroin. Those seem to be our trends currently. Other than that, we had 13 or 14 graduates this past month in the programs, which is very good for us. So everything is moving along pretty well.
you going to bring back April's revenue reports in June or something, just so we can see them out of consistency's sake, Trey? I saw what you wrote about the computer changes. I was just curious.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Part of the problem is I don't believe the new Tensa software can generate the type of reports that we're used to. Part of the reason I couldn't bring it over is now that with the clerk switching over to Tensas, we are receiving our own funds now at probation. The clerk is receiving her own money. I'm no longer receiving reports as how much money she takes in on a daily basis, so that's going to be hard for me to get that from her.
That's okay. Well, I mean, we can get that. I just want, like, I like looking at it for consistency's sake to see changes in patterns and developments and things like that.
I'll be happy to do that. And then going forward, with us receiving our money, kind of our revenues were tied in this month. And I think they were still closing out some books. So that was the hard part. But I'll be happy to do that the next month. And then we're going to start taking credit card payments, I believe, hopefully sometime in June.
I hope so.
So our revenue should increase.
increase.
So we'll run that through Ted Beatty's office. But I think that'll help out tremendously.
Yeah.
And then we are done with that. I was going to move on to the other.
Well, I guess we can go ahead and take care of the reports. Everybody's had a chance to look. Let's see, because we also got, a couple of contracts also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we can...
I'll make a motion to approve the reports as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Second. Are there questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I think the last two are recurring grants that we receive from the state each year. For fiscal year 2018, the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services has awarded us $107,500 for the drug and DUI court. The same department has also awarded us a $70,000 grant for our Veterans Court that we use for both veterans and mental health. So it's $177,500 of no matching county funds.
Okay. It's the same as we had this year.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it seems like
it's a
all
win-win.
Yeah, and all the courts have really taken off too.
They have.
With veterans and mental health. Okay.
Are there any other, just, it can be asked outside of this offline, have any other counties seen how well we're doing with this and inquired about doing it on their own? Or, I know it's making positive momentum, and, I think we're a good example of what can happen with that. I was just curious if other counties are looking at that and recognizing opportunities that they might have to be able to do the same thing, Montgomery County, or wherever, anywhere in Middle Tennessee or the state of Tennessee. Have any other counties mentioned what we're doing as something that they might look at?
Yes, sir, they have. Actually, I was supposed to be there tonight, just couldn't make it. Lawrenceburg is creating their first drug court. So the state has earmarked Rutherford County as the court that they should mimic and follow. So we'll be working with Lawrence County and their mayor and commissioners and setting up their drug court with their judges. Also, because mental health court, we've decided to utilize occupational therapists to come in and work on a one-on-one basis with our mental health court participants. The entire, I guess that's the right word here, but the organization that runs or that kind of helps supports the National Organization for Occupational Therapists has looked at Rutherford County and what we're doing with them and has asked us to come speak at their national conference of over 12,000 occupational therapists worldwide in Salt Lake City, and wants us to present our model for their OTs to get into in the mental health arena.
That's
so they want
good.
to utilize Rutherford County as that.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at, Mr. Chairman. I mean, we get, a lot of people need to know that there's good things happening with their county tax dollars being invested. Sorry.
We invited Judge Tidwell here tonight.
Okay.
He was going to be here, but his daughter's in a play tonight, so that kind of took priority. But we're trying to get him here because we just started our mental health court in February.
End of February.
End of February. And I really think if you have the opportunity to go see it, it's every Wednesday at 12 o'clock for about an hour. It's a motivational and moving event for you.
Yeah.
Those, young people do not belong in our jails, period. They've got a mental health problem, they might have a codependency problem, but they're a liability if we put them in our jails. And I tell you, Judge Tidwell is the right person for the right job in this case.
Yeah.
And we're doing the right thing here. So that's something you really have to witness if you have the opportunity. And the judge is going through tonight, but we'll get him here soon, and you can hear it from his own mouth. But it's an emotional event to go there and see these people. We're trying to get some more of the charitable organizations to participate a little bit, and they want to.
Right.
They've got to do a little better job coordinating. But it's every Wednesday at 12 o'clock.
Where at?
It's in Judge Tidwell's courtroom on the first floor of the judicial building.
And the bigger thing is even with our mental health population, the majority of those individuals will be arrested and rearrested, half a dozen, if not more times in a year. So far, knock on wood, we have had 0 arrests, 0 law enforcement involvement since they've come to the program.
That's what I mean. All of that ties into when you're doing well, the sheriff's department does well, and our community does well, and I think people get help that they need, and it's not, we're not doing it for people to put the spotlight on us to pat our backs, but I think it's okay sometimes to say, you can take a different route and try something because the other stuff's not working, and they don't need to be going to the prison, and we don't need to be funding people that have mental issues that need help with that. So that's a credit to you and the folks you work with and the deputy, the mayor, and everybody that's been involved. It's successful, and I'm proud of what we've done, and I'm glad to see that other people are looking at that saying that's not just something we want to do, but that's the model that we need to follow, and so we need to be proud of that, and I think we are.
And I appreciate that. And I know the sheriff is looking at adding programs back in the jail to help with the reentry back in, and I think that's going to play a huge part.
Yeah, that's good.
And I appreciate the sheriff for doing that. And I know that with also the funding of the JMS software and the RMS and this commission improving that's going to help out probation and all the other agencies here. That's something that's lacked for many, many years. And I think you'll see a vast improvement. You'll get your money's worth out of that.
Good. Thank you.
You get everything done there?
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contracts, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further questions?
Who was your second?
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
And if anybody in your district needs a job, you can send them to probation. We have 4 to 5 employers that are hiring on spot just about once a week. So regardless of their backgrounds, we can get anybody employed.
Obviously, education, high school or something.
Doesn't matter. If they're breathing, we can get them a job. Anywhere from $10.40 an hour and up. I mean, it's not bad. But it's better minimum wage.
Even though all those Eagleville police have gone to Commissioner Reed's house,
That's right.
there's still hope for them.
You don't know how much help I need.
Cheers.
Sure, what order this is in.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex got it. There you go.
Let's start off with the budget amendments.
You want to do all 3 of them at once?
I don't know, where's that one? Restricted. Let's see, one's restricted.
That's on the third one.
Third one, I believe it is.
The drug fund amendment.
Does that have to go separate?
The restricted one.
I think you can, we would probably do them both at the same time since this is, it's going from one fund to the other and it's the same thing.
Okay, all right, we'll take them all then.
All right.
Start with the recycled materials.
First one is just recognize revenue from sale of materials, recycled materials into other supplies for our mulch, seed, and our greenhouse, which we will still have.
Okay, and if anybody has a question on these, just get you in. Okay, let's go to the second one.
Okay, Lisa's letting me go out on my own tonight, so. But cleaning up our line items, trying to stay with Lisa on this, but we're gonna decrease our youth service, which is SROs. We have to increase 8,000 to detectives. We will decrease overtime pay, and of course the line items associated with that, which is 1,000, and you have 620, 110, 145 into the sex offender registry. The overtime has run short there. And then the guards, this will be the jail, 54210, where we'll decrease $7,000 from the guards into other salary and wages.
Just before we go further, I think this is about the first time we've decreased overtime pay in the sheriff's department in that 54110, and that I can remember in the month of May anyhow.
Well, and again, we had to take, it was a small amount of money we had to take care of, but as you move along, you'll see where it's going back up just a little bit, okay?
Usually it's going the other way. Is there something, is money's coming into
because,
that thing is what I'm saying.
The Third Amendment will show you that.
Yeah, we'll show you what we're doing.
Okay.
Make me take that one.
Okay.
Okay. And the $75,000 will be taken from the restricted for public safety and transferred into other funds, or increase the transfer to other funds by $75,000. And then the operating transfer will be increased $75,000 and will go into the overtime pay, and this is the narcotics transfer for them paying for their overtime. Okay? So that explains the line items and stuff, that they're repaying us for the overtime they've used.
Okay. You heard the request.
Make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Second. Any further questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Nippler?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Serrano?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes. Before we go to some of this report, and I think the biggest thing on it is to tell us if we're hurting anywhere or if we're good on your funds for the...
We're going to be good.
Okay, you're not going to need anything next
We've
month?
been working closely, and I think we're
All
going
right.
to make it.
Okay.
No more food money?
It's encumbered. The hard bit. Okay. All right, so.
I tell you, today I walked through there and just smelled the aroma from those rolls I gave 10 pounds.
Pretty good.
Okay. So. There's no further questions. We'll entertain a motion on the report.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor of approving the report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the other thing, and I'm not real sure if there might have been a misunderstanding on here, but on the contract for the record management system, which has been approved, the funds were approved at $1.3 million for both systems. The contract cannot be handled locally because of the special nature of it, so they're wanting to send this on to an attorney that was used for the CAD system. And the mayor, when talking that said we need to request a minimum of $5,000, but we're not asking for any money or anything to be moved because that money was appropriated in the total that we have already moved, so it's going to come out of that fund. So I guess really mainly what I'm doing is saying we're going to have the contract that will be sent on, and then we're going to draw the funds out of the money that was approved already. So we're not asking for anything to be moved.
Must be nice to be alive.
This is a pretty complicated thing with a lot of intellectual property rights.
Right, it is. And he did not feel comfortable locally because he doesn't deal with this. And there's an attorney that does. I mean, that's what he does.
That's good. Keeps us out of
So
trouble.
that's
Trying to do that.
yeah, it's really information. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Question. Yes, sir. Ask one of you people that I ran into last Wednesday, and I said they would give it to you. But something that comes up around May of every year, and it's about SROs.
SROs and what are they
What
gonna
are they
be
going to
doing?
do with the schools out?
Part of them that have not gotten a adequate number of hours to take off during the summer will be working, and they'll be working in patrol, and they're going to be working in our warrants division. Also during the summer months for SROs, we use that as for in-service time, where they all go to in-service and get the training that they need, because it's hard for them to take off during the school year to do that. And then, of course, for the overtime that they've built up, as opposed to cashing overtime in, they use that to take off. And so that's what they're going to be doing.
Well, people, they ask the same question
Oh,
every
yes,
year.
sir.
And they ask a lot of, I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all, but they ask a lot of different commissioners.
Yeah.
I'm sure you hear.
Well, if they didn't, the problem is adequate, there's programs after school and everything that they work on. And of course, the only way we can do that is to allow them to build up their own time.
That's what we tell them, but it's nice to be coming from the horse's mouth.
I've got one question around that, Sheriff. When they make the determinations about the SROs and their particular assignments over the summer, who determines who goes on patrol versus who works in the warrants? How does that filter down? You go.
I decide.
Okay. Where we need them the most. That's what I was wondering. I didn't know how they identified, employee A is on patrol, employee. Do you look at skill set, or how do you determine, or is it just based on need of, you make the decision and that's someone?
It serves a couple of purposes. One is to get them back into the patrol mode, to get them back familiar with the county and all that stuff.
Okay.
Reinforce their law enforcement training as a patrol officer. Two, it helps us tremendously, like for these emergency committals and warrants and all that stuff. So, yeah, I kind of decide where they go. And it's got nothing to do with their skill set, because they all have the same skill set.
That's what I was looking for. I just didn't know how you identified where, obviously you look at need and where you need to place certain officers and stuff. That's what I was curious about.
One of the big problems we've got right now is the mental health issue. Taking a look at last year, we transported, going to some mental health facility, almost 1,500. It's taking, if we equate that out on the best statistics that we can come up with, it's about 134 days that we're using to transport to a mental health facility. One of the other problems that we've got is last week, the night before, we had 5. During the day, the very next day, in less than a 24-hour period, we had 11 more. So we had 16 that we had to transport to some facility within less than a 24-hour period. Unfortunately, that's getting to be the norm.
Yeah.
So we are looking and we've met with the hospital, trying to come up with some solution as to, we don't want to rubber stamp that this is where we need to go. And so we're trying to work with them to come up with a solution on what we can do. We're also talking with our Sheriff's Association on those that have been involved in a mental health situation, because everybody's getting strapped with this right now. So it's and of course, obviously, when we're sending somebody all the way to Memphis, that's going to involve overtime every time. So it's a big issue that we've got right now.
And I know from personal experience that a lot of times you feel sorry for these people, but a lot of times transporting that mentally ill person is a very difficult job.
It is.
I can remember one time we transported an individual, and it was summertime. It was already 90 degrees, and they were freezing. And you had to turn the air conditioner off, or they were going to become combative. So for the officer,
it's stressful.
It's very stressful on them.
And one of the problems we've got, and we've got one in particular that comes to mind that I think we're on our third day gone time where we've transported the same individual 3 times. And they go for the 3 days, they release them, they come back, and then first thing say, I'm gonna kill myself, and we're right back in the cycle again.
And you can't not do it.
No, I mean, liability situation. They say he's got to go or she's got to go, and we've got to take. And of course, we are by statute the primary transport.
Wow.
And you can get down to Memphis, and that
we've had that
place that was supposed to be open is now full.
We've brought the 3 of them back.
Yeah.
So that's a long trip to just turn around and come back. So.
Yeah, it's a desolate trip.
It is.
You mentioned the SROs. when you say what do they do in a situation like that, I have to tell you, when we got in a discussion about this, the commissioners got a call at one time wanting to know about SROs and whatever. I went down there, and I guess I went through a crash course on what SROs do. And I sat there, and when you talk about in service, you've got to see all the manuals that they have to read and go through. And just like our teachers during the summer go through in services, you got the same thing with your SROs, because when you say SRO, a lot of people think they are just like a bank guard. When they go to school, they're sitting there guarding the school. They're not. They're with these children. Some of them are extra parents. Some of them are the father, some of them don't have. Some of them are disciplinary, some of them are the PE instructors, some of them are doing classes, some of them are doing a little bit of everything. But I just want to pass along a compliment that happened to me last week when we had the chance to see Mikey, the arson dog. And Commissioner Gurley was there, and I think you were there, wasn't you, Chantel? Were you there out here at the fire station? Right. But Major Sharp was there. And I had my 2-year-old grandson with me. And Wyatt does not talk to a lot of people. Wyatt doesn't have the ability to speak like
He doesn't take after his grandpa.
No, he doesn't. In fact, he's going to special kids to learn how to do this properly, whatever. But I can still see Wyatt as he walked up to Major Sharp, and he just kept looking up and looking up and looking up, because that was the tallest man he'd ever seen in his life. But the Major squatted down to Wyatt's level and stuck out both palms of his hands to Wyatt. And Wyatt put both of his hands in the Major's hands. And he sat there for the longest talking to Wyatt. And he got Wyatt to touch all the medals on his shirt and everything he had there, and his badge and the whole works. And they became buddies, sitting right there. That's what our SOR,
that's what it's about.
That's what it's all about. And if the younger generation don't see our police officers for this and develop that trust at a young age, and that's what I see that's the important part about our SOR, what these officers are all about in our schools. And that's what we're trying to bridge, that gap out there. And I know people ask this all the time, and they're more interested in, what are they doing, how are they doing, why are they working, doing this sort of thing. We're bridging a gap with the young people out there. And if we don't bridge that gap, we can't build a building out here large enough. And I just think, we've got to continue what we're doing and continue to do it good, and that's important.
I think that's well said, because we can put in as many programs as we can come up with, but we'll never have enough if we don't do something for one person.
But I commend your Major, because
he's good. Thank you.
That little boy, he made his day right there.
Great.
He went beyond Mikey, the arson dog. I'll tell you that.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, when I was in Las Casas, Officer Peach, he was
He was
SRO
good.
there.
Yes. Yes.
He came to my class and everything.
He does Elvis too. That's right.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
We're good here? Anybody have anything they need to announce? Something happened at the depot?
No, but one thing I did want to announce, I looked at the Blue Angels thing, and I want to thank everybody that participated in that from the county and just the town of Smyrna and people that came out there. It's if you haven't got a chance to look at what we're going to do and the county's going to do to help honor Captain Coosh, you need to get online and look at it, because it's going to be pretty impressive. And just made me think about the Honor Guard was here, and they had presented stuff to us, and they were there again and just brought all of that stuff back. It's hard to believe it's been a year almost. But just, people of Rutherford County are good people, and they're rallying again around that, and in his memory and his honor, and it was just pretty neat to see.
So thank you for everybody in the county that's been active and involved and wanting to participate in that.
We're adjourned.
You saw it.